Hi student, this is Professor Harmony Kim who will instruct the course BUD 413. The title is Buddhism and History of Theravada. Before we start the first week of lecture, I will introduce the syllabus. The course code is BUD 413, Early Buddhism and History of Theravada. Is a 4-credit unit, and this course is open in winter 2022, and this course will be conducted by online. This course introduced the history of Buddhism from its origin and gradual spread throughout the India subcontinent and South Asia to the present. Exploring Buddhism as a living tradition, it focused on the impact and interpretation of Buddhism in historical and contemporary cultures. After developing a background in spreading Buddhism, we explore the accommodation between Buddhism and society in ancient India and the development of the Sangha. These are the course objectives. After you complete this course, each student will be able to understand a social history of Buddhism in India and understand the development and disappearance of Buddhism in India. Also, students can discuss the reasons to cause the translocation of Buddhism outside the Indian continent. Also, you can examine and compare the characteristics of Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. Also, students can understand the Silk Road as a vehicle to spread Buddhism in East Asia. Instruction will consist of lectures, reading assignment, class discussions, and handouts. Classroom questions and discussions are strongly encouraged, but this is for the story in on-site education. We are still remote online education, so some information needed to be modified. Other instructional techniques may also be employed, such as audio-visual presentations, guest speakers, critical thinking exercise, etc. Each class will have a lecture on the assigned chapters. Students are subject to read the material related to the class. The instructor will demonstrate problems and case studies in class. Students may work alone or in groups to do assigned problems in class. Some information for instructional delivery is mixed between online and on-site platform. In this online platform, you mainly receive a lecture video weekly basis. You just watch lecture video, and at the end of a lecture video, you will have a couple of questions, quiz questions. You need to answer these questions, and then you just send the answer to my email address. So, the group discussion will not be held in this online education. Required textbook. I will use Pali Canon. So, Anguttara Nikaya, Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, and Samyutta Nikaya. You can access these textbooks easily by internet. So, you type the name of certain sutra, then you can read those sutra by online. So from my lecture, I will provide the name of a sutra so that you can search that sutra online and then you can read through them. My name is Harmony Kim, and this is my email address, gmail.com. So weekly base, you need to send assignment such as a quiz to this email address. Students must send the above email the weekly based assignment. You need to write down the subject title of the email such as BUD 413 assignment on date. In the past, I usually go by week 1, week 2, like that. But the school prefer use date to the number of a week. So today is January 3rd, so assignment on January 3rd. And you must write down the course code, BUD 413, because I'm dealing with several courses. So without course code, it is really hard to put your name in which course. So BUD 413 and assignment on date. This format will be repeat weekly base. If you have any question in addition to the assignment, please send me email with the subject title, additional question of BUD 413. As I told you just before, since I'm teaching other courses, so you need to write down BUD 413. Otherwise, it's really hard for me to find your name. So please keep in mind, you need to start BUD 413, then some additional question, or BUD 413 colon assignment on date. So you need to write down this in the subject title in email. Just in case if students keep asking the information which have been clearly addressed in the lecture video, I might not respond or delay replying. It is possible to reach me by email at any time, and then you will get a response from me within 48 hours during weekdays. I designed syllabus, but this syllabus can be modified depending on situation, and I will notify students of any changes. Attendance policy. Please make every attempt to be in class during all sessions. Regular and punctual attendance, as well as active student participation, is an important part of a student's education. Attendance is strictly monitored. How I can monitor? It depends on your weekly base email to me. And your email include course code and the date of assignment, and your email need to include your official name and the answer of quiz question. When I receive your email weekly base, that count for your attendance. All missed assignment or additional assignment must be completed according to the professor's guideline. Students might not miss more than 70% of class sessions. 3 consecutive absences require formal notice. Each student is expected to be an active participant in submitting weekly-based assignment to my email. Your class participation grade will reflect the quality and consistency of your contributions. Mere attendance does not represent participation. Frequent absences will severely impact your participation grade. So on bottom part, on the left side, this is the format how you submit your attendance for the first week. So to my email address also include your email address. So just in case if I miss counting your attendance, then later you can show your email and then you can suggest me to recount your attendance. So include your email address whenever you send email to me, and subject title is BUD 413 quiz and date, January 3rd. And this week, your assignment is write down your official name. So your last name, comma, followed by first name. It must be official name, not your nickname, not your your email address, because your final grade will be sent based on your official name. So today, at the end of today's lecture, you will do this assignment. As you see, in the left, the bottom panel. That is this week assignment. Next week, on second week, same thing, you will send email to my email address, include your email address, and subject title is Board for 13 quiz and date. Or you can write down assignment and date, doesn't matter. Next week is January 10th. So you write down date. In main box, write down your official name. Every time you need to write down official name, last name, comma, followed by first name. Then, on second week, you need to write down the answer of a quiz. So quiz 1, answer is maybe 1 hour of ABCD. And quiz 2, also you write down A or B or C or D. So from week 2, you need to write down your official name followed by the answer of quiz question. When I receive your weekly based email, then I can count your attendance. Academic integrity. Each student must do your own work. Copying assignment will be considered cheating and all parties will be penalized. Please do not wait until the last minute to do your assignment. I encourage students to discuss their classwork and assignment together. This is based on the on-site education, but online, probably you need to work individually. You learn a lot from your peers since you go through the same learning process. However, after the discussion, each of you should work on your own assignment independently from scratch. One learns by doing, not by working together to print 2 copies. This is not learning. If any part of an assignment represents the world and ideas of others, you must cite those sources. Academic dishonesty includes, but is not limited to, asking a tutor or friend to complete a portion of your assignment, hiring a reviewer to make extensive revision to your assignment, submitting work originally submitted by another student as your own, using information from online resources without properly citing your source, copying any portion of a word or idea from any other source you do not cite. So, in this online platform, you watch lecture video, and at the end of lecture video, you will solve quiz question, and then you will send answer of a quiz question to my email address, including your official name. You will have 2 times of exam. One is midterm, the other one is final exam. In the exam, I will ask you to write down a short essay. When you cite other person's word directly, then you provide a source. And also, when you borrow others' idea, also you need to cite indirectly. Otherwise, you are committing academic dishonesty. In terms of essay question, I will provide detailed information when you are ready to take midterm or final exam. Assignment or quizzes will be announced through lecture video. The due of each assignment is until Sunday midnight of following week because this course is supposed to open on Monday. All work must be turned in on the due date by email. No late submission will be accepted. Some students write down email, "I'm sorry, professor, I'm late, blah, blah, blah," but that might not be counted. When you send the assignment or quiz weekly base, you must put your email on CC so that you can keep the copy of every email of submitting the assignment. In the body of the email, you need to write down your official name, last name, comma, followed by first name, because many students use their email name different from official name. So if I stick to your email address as the official name, lots of trouble occur. Therefore, you need to write down your official name in the body of the email. You can use your email address freeway, doesn't matter. But in the body of your email, you must write down your official name. When you write down your official name, start to write down last name, comma, followed by first name. Do not swap the position between last name and first name. And in midterm and lecture final, you will have an essay question, and then all essay assignment must be typed, not handwriting. How I can evaluate your performance? Homework assignment quiz count 30%, midterm 30%, lecture final 40%. So total 100%. And if your performance belong to 90 to 100%, you will be in A grade. And 80 to 89, B 70 to 79%, C 60 to 69%, D below 60, then students will get F. This is overall course schedule. This is a tentative schedule and subject to change if necessary. So today is January 3rd. So we go over syllabus just before, and then I'm going to provide a brief lecture about Introduction to Theravada Buddhism. And then the following week, we will go over the social condition of the Buddha's day in ancient India. And third week is Martin Luther King Day, so that will be holiday. So this overall schedule you can screen, but this is tentative. Depending on the situation, the subject is a little bit changed. I'm going to explain you one more time how you can generate assignment and how you can send assignment, and then what is the significance of the assignment. Okay, this is my email address, gmail.com. So send your assignment to my email address, and you need to include your email address whenever you send me email. And subject title should be Bod for 13 and January 3rd. And or you can write down week 1 quiz or week 1 assignment. Write down your official name in text body, last name, comma, followed by first name. Do not swap the position of a last name and first name. Do not use the nickname when you submit the assignment. Sending me the email of your official name will be counted your attendance of the first week of Bod 14. If you using your nickname, you cannot be counted for your attendance. I will count the attendance based on official name. And the due of week 1 assignment is January 9th, Sunday midnight. When you send me email, please do not generate attachment file because the content is not long enough to be treated in attachment. You directly use text body of email. Every week, you only write down your official name followed by answer of a quiz question. So the content are simple. So you don't have to generate attachment file. For your midterm and lecture final, you need to generate attachment. Except to exam, you don't need to generate attachment file for weekly based assignment such as quiz answer. Okay, for the rest of this lecture, you will study brief introduction of Buddhism and history of Theravada. In the consideration of the history of Theravada Buddhism, first, let's look at the timeline of development and decline of Buddhism in India. So Gautama Siddhartha Buddha born and found Buddhism around this 563 to 483 BC. So around this time, the Buddha was born and found Buddhism. Then about 326 BC, around this region, the great Alexander invaded India. So this is India, and great Alexander invaded India. This map shows the northwest of the India, and then you can see this purple font. This purple color font indicate the cities founded by the great Alexander after invading and conquering India. So if you look at here, and he put his name on the city, so you can see Alexandria Escate, Alexandria in the Caucasus, Alexandria in Arachosia, Alexandria on the Indus, and here's Alexandria. So whenever he invade and conquer the city, he put his name. So these are the purple color, this dot indicate great Alexander invade and conquer the India. And you can see here Taxila. Here, Taxila. Taxila is in western Punjab and was an important city during Alexander's campaign in India. So here's Alexander's invasion to India. Then after that, Maurya Empire governed by Chandragupta established the India Empire around 322 BC. So Chandragupta established Maurya Empire. And the son of Chandragupta is Bindusara. And the son of King Bindusara was King Asoka. So King Asoka was grandson of Chandragupta. And this King Asoka was emperor at the beginning, but later he became a Buddhist monk and spread Buddhism around the 3rd century BC. So around 269, 270 BC, that is around the 3rd century BC, Asoka spread Buddhism throughout India. From the death of King Asoka, then the next emperor is King Kanishka. Until King Kanishka, India was called Buddhist India, but this title became ceased to be so. When the Chinese pilgrim, whose name is Huaxiang, traveled in India in the early years of 4th AD, around this area, around this time, 4th century AD, Huaxiang, this Chinese pilgrim found Buddhism nearly everywhere in decay. Then the Hun, located north to the India, Hun, the Hun invade India and destroy monastery and suppressed Buddhism in the 6th century AD. So already past here. So 4th AD, Chinese pilgrim observed that Buddhism in decline, and in 6th century AD, Hun invaded India and the 7th century AD, there is another Chinese pilgrim named Xuanzang traveled in India, and Xuanzang encountered many non-Buddhists in the early years of the 7th century. So during 700 up to 1200 AD, the Indian subcontinent was divided among numerous kingdoms throughout the first millennium until the formation of the Gupta Empire. Decline of Buddhism in the India was not a singular event. It was a centuries-long process. And in the 11th and 12th century AD, which is not appear in this map, Muslims invade India, and this Muslim invasion, virtually extinguished Buddhism in the Indian subcontinent and in Central Asia. Sometimes I will introduce a timeline with BC, AD, and then BC is equal to BCE. Same meaning. Also, AD is equal to CE, Common Era. BCE means before Common Era. So BCE, same meaning of BC. CE, same meaning of AD. So I told you just before, this is the timeline, summary of a timeline. So you can read this slide and then go back to this map, and then you can match what's going on along the timeline. So Buddhism, here's Shakyamuni Buddha, born and found Buddhism, and then Buddhism flourished around King Asoka, and then the Buddhism slowly declined. There are several reasons why decline of Buddhism occurred in the India. There is some invasion by other tribes, or competition with Hinduism, and also invasion by Muslim. There are several factors to cause the decline of Buddhism in India. We will study this later, maybe next week or the following week. Let's look at the map of India along the timeline. The left map shows, this orange color, shows the region ruled by Chandragupta. Chandragupta is the grandfather of King Asoka. And this orange color region was ruled by Chandragupta, and the first Indian empire was highly centralized and governed by an ideal of exercising power impartially. Right map shows Asoka Empire during 250 BC. A little bit expand from the Chandragupta's reign. So the northeast area is a little bit expanded. Asoka's empire reached at its greatest extent of Buddhism. If you look at this black triangle post, this black triangle post indicate the site of Asoka's rock and pillar edicts. In other words, King Asoka spread Buddhism throughout India. He constructed monastery, and he also constructed pillar, and also he inscribed edicts on the rock. King Asoka supported the construction of monasteries and missions to other countries. The Buddhist Emperor Asoka promoted Buddhism and made Buddhism into a major religion in the Indian continent. Eventually, Buddhism died out in India, but missionaries King Ashoka sent actually brought its teachings throughout Asia, causing Buddhism to survive and becomes a modern major religion. Let's study King Asoka a little bit more. Again, he is a grandson of Chandragupta. King Ashoka gained control of all but southern tip of India through intense fighting. So, except this southern tip of India, the rest part of Indian continent governed by King Ashoka. Since he had many times battle, so he is described as bloodthirsty, but at the same time, he carries compassion to others. Ultimately, he converted to Buddhism and spread Buddhism throughout India. King Asoka communicated his policies throughout his realms by inscribing edicts in natural stone formation and pillars. The edicts promoted Buddhist values and expressed his concerns to rule fairly, justly, and humanely. In the edicts, there is not a word about God or the soul, even not a word about Buddha or Buddhism. The statements are self-evident to all the subjects of the empire. Here are the examples of edicts inscribed on the rock by King Asoka. Some rocks hold the edicts such as no animal may be slaughtered for sacrifice. Docility to parents is good. Liberality to friends, acquaintances, and relatives, and to Brahmins and recluse is good. Not to injure living beings is good. Economy in expenditure and avoiding dispute is good. Self-mastery, purity of heart, gratitude, and fidelity are always possible and excellent even for the man who is too poor to be able to give largely. In this way, King Asoka promoted Buddhist values and expressed his concerns to rule fairly, justly, and humanely. I mentioned that King Ashoka supported the construction of a monastery. So this is his first temple at Buddha Gaya named Sanchi. And left panel shows inside the Sanchi temple. And right panel shows the gate of Sanchi Stupa. So this part, the gate of Sanchi Stupa appears here in detail. Asoka communicated his policies throughout his realm by pillars that he ordered to be erected. And on the top of the pillar, the lion capital has been adopted as official national emblem. King Ashoka also sent missionaries across India to spread Buddhism, therefore paving the way for the spread of Buddhism into Asia. This upper panel showed the route of missionaries inside India. So the missionaries was sent from India to Sri Lanka. The lower panel showed the missionaries outside the India. So you can see here into China, even sometimes by sea it goes Southeast Asia. King Asoka's missionaries and their writings spread Buddhism throughout India and to East Asia and South Asia. There are two routes of overland to introduce Buddhism into China. So maritime Buddhism, we will consider that later. Here, you just think about land route. So here's India, and then one route is northern route. Here's Taklamakan Desert. So northern fringe of desert Taklamakan, passing Kucha, Krashar, and Turfan. And south route is southern fringe of desert Taklamakan, so this route, and passing Khotan, and north route and south route merge here in Dunhuang. So we will study later where is the important Buddhist center in southern route, and also where is important Buddhist center in northern route, where we can find many Buddhist literatures. Also, once Buddhism spread out of India, the form of Buddhism is called Mahayana Buddhism. So, how's the difference between Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism? So, in the centuries following the Buddha's death, different viewpoints appear in the interpretation of his teachings. By the 1st century AD, two forms of Buddhism emerged. One is Theravada Buddhism, the other one is Mahayana Buddhism. Theravada Buddhism is the name given to the tradition that most closely follows the teachings and traditions established during the time of the Buddha and in the following centuries. It means teachings of the elders. Theravada Buddhism, sometimes called Southern Buddhism, because it is mainly practiced in Thailand, Cambodia, Burma, Laos, and Sri Lanka. Mahayana Buddhism, during the 1st century AD, as the teachings developed and spread, a form of Buddhism called Mahayana Buddhism emerged. Mahayana Buddhism means great vehicle. In the Mahayana tradition, there is a belief in Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is beings who are on the path to becoming Buddha, but Bodhisattva chose to delay their final release from rebirth out of compassion to help all creatures. Mahayana Buddhism that is practiced in China, Japan, and Korea, and Vietnam is often called Eastern Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism that is mainly practiced in Tibet, Mongolia, Bhutan, part of China, and the Himalayan regions of Nepal and India is often called Northern Buddhism. So in this course, we will more focus on Eastern Buddhism, such as Mahayana Buddhism practiced in Korea, Japan, and China. Then let's think about when and how Mahayana Buddhism started to arise. It sounds like Theravada Buddhism is more like very closely, almost the same of the Buddha's teaching. Then, what caused Mahayana Buddhism to arise? And when has Mahayana Buddhism started to begin? After 100 years after the Buddha's parinibbana means Buddha's death. So after 100 years after the Buddha's death, there's some monk called Bazi monk, modified minor rules. So some group of monks called Bazi monks, they claim to modify some disciplines, 10 kinds of disciplines. There have been 273 rules for Bhikkhu monks, and there have been 311 rules for Bhikkhuni nuns in Vinaya. Vinaya means discipline, rules. Therefore, monastics must keep this Vinaya. But Baji monk claimed to modify some of these rules. Upon modifying minor 10 rules, senior monk called the second council because this modification has been regarded as a big issue with respect to modifying spirit of the Sangha. So it sounds like some split occur among the monastics. Let's look at what kind of minor rules. 10 minor rules Baji monk claim to modify. First, carrying salt. Monastic not supposed to carry salt, but in India, under hot climate, losing moisture by sweating require for salt to balance body physiology. So in terms of acidic and basic balance, so some kind of taking salt is required. So Baji monk request, let's carry some salt. Second proposition is time for eating. They do not have a watch at the time. Therefore, how they can measure the time is they put the finger on the land and then they measure the length of shadow generated by finger. And then depending on the length of finger shadow, they determine, oh, you can eat meal, you can lunch. Or if the time past noon, then you cannot eat meal. So one seed eating was committed during the Buddha's period. Depending on the length of the finger shadow, the monastics cannot eat after 12. If monastic past noon, then there is no meal provided at night, because in early Buddhism, night meal was prohibited. So if the monastic passed the noon, then the monastic cannot eat the rest of the day. So Vazi monk appealed that sometimes monastics can pass noon. Then couldn't it be flexible to have eating because there's no food at night? The other proposition is meal between religious monastery. The monk departed from one monastery after his first meal. But the second monastery is very far, so taking long journey and arrive at the second monastery when the second meal was passed. So in other words, when the monk arrived at the second monastery, the monastic passed noon. Upon the late arrival at the second monastery, monks supposed to reject the second meal according to the Vinaya. But Vazi monk claimed that because of distance and also hot weather, it's very not easy to walk fast. So even though late arrival at the second meal, please give permission to have a second meal because there's no night meal. Another proposition is practice uposatha. Uposatha is kind of a group recital of Vinaya rules. So monastics get together and recite Vinaya rules. Once monastics get together, it forms one big ideal Sangha. But Vazi monk suggests that we can divide one ideal Sangha into several groups because of a long commute. So group of monks form regional Sangha rather than one big ideal Sangha. But still small several regional Sangha can get together and recite Vinaya rules. Then senior monk disagree with that because if one big ideal Sangha divided into several groups of Sangha, this could cause the division followed by the loss of the unity. And another proposition is, unless all monks were there, for example, ordination, transaction could not be done. So for ordination, all monks need to get together. But sometimes some monks cannot come to the meeting due to punishment or some other things. Therefore, it's not very practical. So Vazi monk suggests some other idea is in terms of more practical and based on efficiency. Vazi monk claimed 10 proposition, and the 6th proposition is customary habit. Teacher's teacher does some practice, so do the same practice. Vazi monk disagree with that, and then the Buddha points to practice not in the teacher's way, but in right way. Therefore, Vazi monks do not want to simply follow teacher's practice. Another proposition is there's some arguing about the status of material, such as when milk is boiled, after boiling milk, it turned out to be curd. Is it okay to drink between neither milk nor curd? So at night, monastics allowed to drink milk, but they should not eat something chewing. So drink milk is okay, but in terms of curd, you need to chew. That is not allowed. But when milk is boiling, then it turns out to be curd. So is it okay to drink in a mediate state between neither milk nor curd? So it's really minor things. And Vazi monks ask for the permission to be flexible to minor things. Another proposition is avoid to drink alcohol even for the medicinal purpose. Another proposition is robe without fringe, otherwise considered luxurious in terms of decoration. So when monastics wear robe, the edge of a robe should not have a fringe because it considered be luxurious in terms of decoration. And acceptance of coin and gold and silver was prohibited. But Vazi monk asked for accepting these kind of things, coin, gold, and silver. Ten propositions of Vinaya rules proposed by Vazi monk were completely rejected by senior monk. So the group of Vazi monk is called Mahasangika. Since senior monk disagree Vazi monk 10 proposition, Mahasangika, this Vazi monk, decided that okay, we think that just modifying these 10 minor rules will not disagree, will not obstruct the Buddha's teaching. If senior monk do not agree our proposition, then we will just go by our way. Therefore, Mahasangika, this Vazi monk group, Mahasangika, found their own way. This is the beginning of Mahayana Buddhism. So, a beginning of schism between Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism take place from the Vazi monk proposed 10 minor rules. So these 10 minor rules is very trivial, small things, but there's some split occur from Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism start to go astray from Theravada Buddhism. The beginning was a minor thing, but the more and more the gap is gonna broader. Therefore, nowadays, the characteristic of Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism, in some sense, quite different. So, around the 1st century AD, the spread of Buddhism from northern India along the trade route taken by merchants, monks, and travelers accelerated rapidly. To the north and east, Buddhism was transmitted to growing energy by the merchant who played a vital role in linking China with the Indus Valley. There were traveling merchants from the heart of Central Asia, classic middlemen whose own close-knit network and efficient use of credit left them ideally positioned to dominate long-distance trade. So this Silk Road is international highway. Along the highway, Buddhism can be transmitted. Also, to the south, in the Deccan Plateau, squares of cave temples were built with stupas deep into the Indian subcontinent. Upon transmitting Buddhism from India into East Asia, how Buddhism came to disappear from India, how Buddhism came to decline from the land of its birth, India. Some scholars contended that Buddhism never disappeared but simply changed its form or was absorbed into Hindu practices. Buddhism displaced as Turkish invasions destroy holy sites, temples. About 1,200 Muslim forces destroy library of Nalanda and thousands of monks exiled. By the 7th century, Buddhism was declining rapidly. Theravada Buddhism nearly disappeared, while Mahayana Buddhism was absorbed into Hinduism and Islam. An modified form of Theravada Buddhism, called Mahayana Buddhism, became more popular in China, Korea, and Japan. So let's think about the characteristic of Theravada Buddhism might provide the reason why Buddhism became declined in Indian continent. If Theravada Buddhism transformed to Mahayana Buddhism in Indian continent, then Buddhism might not be disappear in India. Let's think about that later by studying the characteristic of Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism in detail. We will study that later. Before closing today's lecture, I'd like to introduce one school in India. The name is Nalanda University. The University of Nalanda has been built before the era of King Asoka. So before King Asoka, there was University of Nalanda. Probably it was monastery, and later it became changed into university. Nalanda's traditional history dates to the time of the Buddha. It's about 6th, 5th centuries BC. And here is the location of Nalanda. And it looks like this building. And in Nalanda, Nagarjuna, he's the Buddhist philosopher, or Nagarjuna is called the second Buddha. And he lived during 2nd and 3rd century CE. And Nagarjuna studied in Nalanda University. Also, I mentioned the Chinese pilgrim. His name is Xuanzang. He's very famous. We will study him. Also, Xuanzang stayed and studied at Nalanda for some time during the 7th century CE. So here is the location of Nalanda. Still, the University of Nalanda is present in current era in India. So you can visit Nalanda University. As I explained at the end of syllabus how you can generate the assignment, so you need to send the assignment to my email address, include your email address and subject title, board for 13, January 3rd, week 1 assignment or January 3rd quiz. It's okay. So write down your option name, last name, comma, followed by first name, and do not swap the position of last name and first name, and do not use nickname. Sending me the email of your official name will be counted your attendance of the first week of this course. The due of week 1 assignment is this coming Sunday midnight. So your assignment look like this way. My email address, your email address, subject title, board for 13, January 3rd, or week 1 assignment. So write down your official name, must be official name, not nickname. And just write down your official name in the main text body of email. Do not make attachment file for your official name. So please do that right now so that I can generate roster and then I can organize your last name and your attendance can be counted. This is the end of first week lecture. Thank you.